Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Cruise Smarter Live. I'm Walter, your independent travel agent with Where's Walter Travel. If you're new to the channel, we invite you to like, subscribe, share, do all those wonderful things that social media likes for you to do. And for about the next hour or so, we're going to be answering your questions about all things cruising. And our topic for today, our primary topic for today, will be Alaska. I had a lot of questions about Alaska last week. So we were like, you know what, let's just go ahead and dedicate the show to Alaska. So we're going to go ahead and talk about Alaska today. We already got a question from Mike asking about the Inside Passage. We will get to that in just a moment. Mike, thanks so much for popping in with the first question already. I love that. I love that. And plus, I'm going to say welcome to, I see Sue and Phil are here. Betty's here. Eric is here. Mike is obviously here. There's Cheryl. Benny's here. Kathy. Hi, guys. Good to see you. And I got a question from Phil and Sue as well. So this is great. But first of all, let me just let you all know that I am Walter, your independent travel agent. And if we can help you plan your travels, just reach out. Where's WalterTravel.com. Our services are 100% free to you. And when it comes to Alaska, I think we've sent about 200 folks up there or something like that. We have booked a lot of Alaska over the past 3.5 years. So first question, Mike wants to know, what's the difference between the Inside Passage and the Outside Passage? I've never heard it called Outside Passage. But basically, the Inside Passage is a narrow, it's almost like river cruising when you're on the Inside Passage. So the Inside Passage generally more protected, more calm, if you will. When the ships have to go around out into the Gulf, sometimes, you know, the weather can be kicked up. You're basically going out into the ocean when you're going around the whole Inside Passage area. But the Inside Passage, it basically is a whole series of islands if you're going northbound, there's a whole series of islands on the left side of a ship. And at times it gets so narrow, it's almost like river cruising. It's kind of crazy that some of these big ships can get into these little bitty areas. And depending on the size of a ship and how much of a draft they need underneath the ship, some of these ships can really get in, like the Oceana Riviera. We were getting into some really cool, it was almost like going through the Norwegian fjords, if you will. That's what it's like. So when you're going through the Inside Passage, you got land on both sides. When you're going out into the Gulf, you may or may not see land from out there, but that's really the difference. It's more of a protected, it's just more of a protected waterway, especially for people who are like, oh, I don't know if I can handle rough weather. I don't know if I can handle rough waves. Inside Passage in general is going to be much smoother than going around out into the Gulf. Great question. Great question. Let's see, Phil. Is there a line that's known for visiting more out-of-the-way ports? Great question. So when it comes to Alaska, you got the big three ports, right? So you got Skagway, Ketchikan, Juneau. Those are the big three that Alaska are known for. They're also the busiest ports up there because they can handle pretty much any size ship. All three of those ports can bring in the very large ships as well as the small ship. So if you're looking for ships that are, if you're looking for those out of the way ports, and in fact, I've got the ports over here since you brought it up. So the big three, Juneau, Ketchikan, and Skagway. But then you've also got Sitka, Haines, Icy Strait Point, Wrangell, Klawock, Victoria, and Prince Rupert. So these are some of the smaller ports that are out there. Now, Icy Strait Point is a different kind of a thing. Icy Strait Point is kind of the private island of Alaska, if you will. It was developed specifically for the cruise line. So it can take bigger ships, but you might be tendering in. Now, some of these smaller ports, you got to be on a smaller ship. So if you want to hit, you know, say like Sitka, Haines, Wrangell, some of these smaller places, you're probably going to be looking at Oceana, Azamara, Silversea, Regent, Seven Seas. They have the very small ships that can get in to those areas. So if you're looking for something that, look, I wouldn't mind seeing the big three, but I'd really like to go off and see some other places, kind of like what we all did in June when we were on the Oceana Riviera, where we got to go to Sitka, Haines, Klawock. Oh my God, that was absolutely beautiful going to those places. Wrangell on the 4th of July was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. So yeah, you're probably looking at those smaller cruise lines. I don't even know a lot of the cruise lines will go into Icy Strait Point. I don't know offhand how many. Now, Holland America will go up north. They'll go up into Dutch Harbor, and they will go, let's see, Dutch Harbor and I think Kodiak or something like that as well. They do it once a year usually. Like they'll do this big 14-day itinerary. They even have a 28-day itinerary. So Holland will send one of their smaller ships up there as well. But in general, you're going to be looking at the smaller ships if you want to get into some of these other ports. And man, there's a lot of cool things to do in some of these other ports when you get away. Number one, you get away from all the other ships. But number two, you kind of get into some like really different areas and you really get to work with local tour operators. I think one of the coolest things we did was a food tour in Klawock with a family. Basically, it was all cousins that ran the food tour, and it was actually really, really cool, but absolutely tiny. Absolutely tiny. So let's see. Douglas, you're trying to decide on a celebrity cruise. You can take advantage of our offer. Oh, well, thank you. If you were not here on Thursday night, we had Alex from Celebrity Cruises. Great hour. If you want to know about celebrity cruises and celebrity rivers, I would encourage you to jump over to our YouTube channel, Where's Walter Travel, and check out the live stream from Thursday night with Alex from Celebrity. And as part of that, he offered a $100 onboard credit offer if you book with Where's Walter Travel through, I think it's April 9th. Now, it has to be 4 nights or longer, and it has to be a veranda or higher category, but then we can add an extra $100 onboard credit thanks to our relationship with the good folks over there, Celebrity Cruises and Alex. So that was really awesome. Kimberly thought we would be on the Luna with all the TikTok cruise people. No, we're not on the Luna. But it looks like Tony and the gang are having a great time over there. So that's awesome. When can you see the Northern Lights? So technically in Alaska, the Northern Lights season starts in mid-August, but that's in Fairbanks. That's not over like on the shore. So technically, usually with the ships, you might see them in late September going into October. That's why Norwegian stays in Alaska all the way through October, because of the opportunity, the potential to see the Northern Lights. So they see them the most in October on those cruises, but you might see them a little bit earlier. It's not like Norway. I mean, if you really want to see the Northern Lights, you got to be up there in the wintertime. But you have an opportunity. Anybody who wants to see the Northern Lights and they're like, oh, I'm going to Alaska, you really got to go up there in the wintertime. On a cruise, maybe you might, but it's those October cruises. Now, the downside to those October cruises, a lot of the land-based stuff is already closed. So there are going to be a lot of tours that are no longer operating, and there may be venues like restaurants, shops, things like that are no longer operating because they're closed for the season. And there's only one ship, one cruise line coming up, and it's Norwegian. So a lot of places aren't going to stay open for just one cruise line coming up. So Terry, you're going to be on the Brilliant Lady in June. Nice. June 23rd. I love it. Love it. Betty had been to Alaska 3 times, but the last time being a cruise land tour on Holland America. That is absolutely it. If you have the time and the wherewithal, the first time you go to Alaska, I highly recommend a cruise tour so you can spend time on land as well as on the ship. When we did that, we did 7 days on land, 7 days on the ship with Princess. We actually saw more wildlife on land than we did on the ships. And we went early. We went in May, June, when all the babies were coming out. We saw baby moose, baby grizzlies, baby owls, saw baby everything. It was so awesome. Let's see, football guy. Why are there very few Alaska cruises from LA? You've seen Princess and Carnival. It's because it's a long haul to get there. Basically, Princess sails from San Francisco and Carnival sails from Los Angeles. It's a 7-day Alaska cruise, but with 4 sea days, 2 sea days to get up, 2 sea days to get back. It's a long haul to get there. So they only run one ship. All the rest of their ships are running from Seattle, Vancouver, or going back and forth to Los Angeles. So if you really want to do Alaska and you live in California, I'd recommend fly up to Seattle, or you can go to Vancouver. Really, it's probably about the same difference flying to either place, just a little bit longer. So that's why all the ships are up in the Pacific Northwest. They're just going to keep 1 or 2 down lower. So Good question, though. Very good question. Thank you for that. Kurt, I'm glad I was able to help out with that. Hey, John. John is here. So we have a new YouTube channel called Open Sea Escapes, and that is just pure video from the cruise ship. I've been shooting. It's kind of a labor of love. I've been shooting these for over 5 years. When I get on a cruise ship, I just set up a camera and just let it roll for hours from different vantage points around the ship. And the latest one that we just released is called The Sphere. It's actually the view from John's mini suite on the Sun Princess. It is such a unique view with the sphere like right in front of the camera on the Sun Princess looking forward. So John, thank you for that. He let me set that camera up. It ran for a little over an hour and I looped it out to 7 hours because it's just a beautiful, beautiful sunny day. So if you guys are missing cruising when you're at home, go check out that channel, Open Sea Escapes on YouTube. I have over 70 hours of footage that's going to be uploaded onto that channel over the next year. So it's going to be amazing. John Cooper said, Mike, I'll get back to your port question, but John said he did Alaska with the Rocky Mountaineer, yet another way to go up into Alaska or as part of an Alaska land sea tour. The Rocky Mountaineer, that is on my list. That is way up on my list, is to go on the Rocky Mountaineer. That is an absolutely spectacular train ride. I'm all about trains. In fact, I'm trying to get a train set up for Switzerland when we go over there. But wow, that's yet another way. I mean, that's the cool thing about Alaska. There's so many ways to do Alaska. Mike, what is the best port to sail out of? There is no best port to sail out of. It's just what do you want to do and how much time do you have? So you can do 7-day round trips from Seattle and Vancouver, British Columbia. You can do one ways from Vancouver up to Alaska, from Alaska down to Vancouver. You can even I think Virgin has from Alaska to Seattle, Vancouver around. There's like all different kinds of ways you can do it. So it just depends on which cruise line you're going to go on, how long you want to go, and the time of year. So there's no best port to sail out of. They're all good. They just all give you slightly different experiences. So WDW guys going on the Luna in 3 days. That is absolutely awesome. Phil and Sue are commenting on how it was lovely to see some of the smaller ports on our Oceania Riviera cruise last year. That was absolutely lovely. So John, here's just a general question. What are the rules for repricing on Princess cruises? You notice your Star Princess sailing in Alaska has only a $500 upcharge for a better sanctuary cabin. Great question, because Princess is different than some of the other cruise lines. So with Princess, in order to get the new promotion, the new fare, we have to cancel and we have to rebook. So if you, and the thing that Princess did recently is they default to non-refundable deposits. So as long as you booked with a refundable deposit, we can cancel your cruise, rebook you, and Princess will move your money to the new cruise. Now, if you booked with a non-refundable deposit, you lose that deposit if we do that. And then you have to put a whole new deposit down on the new cruise. So Princess is kind of an oddball with that, forcing us to cancel and rebook. So as long as you have a refundable deposit, and that's why we try to get everybody to do that. The difference between refundable deposit and non-refundable deposit has been as low as like $200, $400. It's not really that much. As long as you have a refundable deposit, it's pretty straightforward to rebook. And typically what I'll do is I'll book the new room, then I'll call Princess and I'll have them cancel it, so then they can just move over the money all in one shot. So, and then I know that you've got a room. The worst thing you can do is cancel and then try to rebook, and then maybe you lose that room category. So yeah, that's how it works. That is a great question. Thank you. John said Alex from Celebrity was awesome, but he was tight-lipped on the information you need. Well, that's because they are a publicly traded company, and unless it is public information, he can't talk about things. So yeah. Jenny says she sailed Alaska in September in a cruise the week before, and you got to see the Northern Lights. That is absolutely fabulous. Yeah, the later you go in the season, the more chance you will have. If you go like later in September, I'm not a big fan of the October cruises unless that is the only thing that you really want to do. You want to see the Northern Lights. I just don't think it's as good of an experience in October because so many things are no longer operating because they've closed up for the season. So Yeah. Hey, Fred, how are you? Good morning, Clee. You're headed to Alaska in May. That is so awesome. That is so awesome. Hey, Brandy and Karen will be on the Brilliant Lady to Alaska June 4th, your first time to Alaska. That's the other thing that's happening up there. We got all these new cruise lines that are going into Alaska. MSC is up there. Explora's coming in next year. What's their name? Azamara is there this year, and now Virgin Voyages is coming in this year. Yeah, Virgin has a couple of good itineraries. Now the thing is, with these new cruise lines coming in, there's not a whole lot of space. I mean, Alaska is very much, they reward the longevity when it comes to getting the passes, the berthing locations and things like that. So that's why, we always lean into Princess and Holland America right away, because they generally have the best berthing locations in all of the ports. Princess and Holland have the most passes to get into Glacier Bay, which Glacier Bay is a standout stop on any Alaska cruise if you can get in there. And so when these new cruise lines come in, like Virgin has a couple of really good itineraries. I was actually impressed. And they have other itineraries that if it's your first time going to Alaska, you're not really getting a lot of Alaska, just because they just couldn't get into the ports. So they had to kind of come up with something a little different. And you really need to look carefully at, MSC, and Azamara has some killer itineraries, but they're doing 10 and 11 nights. So they have an extra, they have a little extra time up there. If you can go longer on an Alaska cruise, that's always better, because then you have time to hit more than just the big three. But then you also have to look at things like Virgin Voyages. I love Virgin Voyages, great cruise line, but they're not my first choice for Alaska unless you're going on one of the three itineraries that has Hubbard Glacier in it. If you have one of those itineraries, those are not bad. But even there, I'd be like, well, I don't really know how Virgin's going to play up there. But I do have a bunch of clients going on it, so I can't wait to hear from them and go, how was it? How was it? So Cheryl saw the Northern Lights in May, June. Wow. That is really interesting. That is rare. That is rare for sure. So
that's starting towards where you have a lot of daylight. So that is unusual that you would see.
Yeah. Let's see. Nissy is doing Alaska for the first time next May with Holland America starting in Denali. That is absolutely amazing. And Kenneth said the Alaska cruise is your retirement cruise. That's a great way to retire, man. Go to Alaska. I love it. So Alaska is our topic for today, and I love that we're jumping right into it. But can I just tell you guys quickly before we jump further into Alaska, can I just tell you about two of our group cruises, or remind you about two of our group cruises, because the savings have gone crazy. The first one is our murder mystery cruise. Now, if you've already booked on this cruise, your rate is exactly the same. Nothing has changed. What has changed is Silversea's rates are going up like crazy. We are going to be doing a murder mystery cruise on the Silversea Silver Ray. Now, even if you don't care about murder mysteries, this is one of the most beautiful ships on the water. We're going to be on for 11 nights, January 5th through the 16th, 2027. We start in Miami. We go to San Juan, St. John, U.S. Virgin Islands, St. Kitts, Deschutes, Guadeloupe, Antigua, and Tortola with 4 sea days. So 11 total days. And if you're a fan of the BBC show called Death in Paradise, which is just one of those fun little quirky murder mysteries, Deschutes, Guadeloupe is where they shoot the series. And Silversea has an excursion, plus there are private excursions that you can book there too. That was kind of like the impetus for us booking that ship. But right now, our rooms, and just for a little while longer, our rooms start at up to $1,800 per person, savings over what's currently listed on Silversea's website. We locked down our group rates about 2 months ago. I think we've got a couple weeks left, and then we have to let them go. And then at that point, you're going to be paying a lot more. So right now, if you'd like to go on the Silversea Silver Ray, if you've been like, I wonder what this ship is all about, because it is ultra luxury. It is 700 passengers. Every room has a butler. I'll repeat that. Every room has a butler. We never had a butler. We're kind of excited about this. And the rates are insane. Our rates start at about $5,100 per person for 11 nights, which is I mean, that's like the price of a junior suite on Icon of the Seas for 7 nights. And this is going to be 11 nights on ultra luxury, almost all inclusive. So the Silver Sea Silver Ray, January 5th through the 16th, 2027. If you would like to join us on that ship, I encourage you to do so. And right now, our savings are up to $1,800 per person. It's insane. The price on this, I knew that cruise was selling well. And as the rooms sell down, the prices just keep going up. Our prices are locked until we have to give them up. It's not much longer. We will have to give up our group rate. So if you want to come join us on this one, it's going to be amazing. Big shout out to Missy at Beach Bliss Travel. She is co-hosting this cruise with us. And yes, we will be doing on 2 of the sea days, at least, we will be doing some murder mystery games, some murder mystery stuff. We're still working on that. So if you're a fan of murder mysteries, this could be a fun one. Now, the other one is our Avalon Christmas Time on the Rhine, December 7th through the 14th of 2027. Again, our savings are up to $700 per person for a 7-night cruise to go to the Christmas markets. This is going to be starting in Basel, Switzerland. We'll go northbound to Brisach, Kell. That's your gateway to Strasbourg, Ludwigshafen, Rudesheim, Cologne, Mainz, and Frankfurt. 7 nights. We have over 70 guests on this ship. The ship holds about 140, 150 people. Christmas Time on the Rhine. The Avalon View, that is the ship. This ship has these panoramic suites with 14-foot glass by floor-to-ceiling glass, so you can sit in your bed and just look right out the window as we glide down the river. And, of course, we'll be going to the Christmas market. So $700 per person, up to $700 per person savings on this one. And we have good solo rates on this one, too. Yes, you're going to be paying more than double occupancy. Well, not more than double occupancy, but it is actually not bad. We have multiple solos coming with us on this trip. And of course, our good friend Stephanie is currently planned to be on this one. We hope the mouse doesn't change that, but currently she is planned to be on this cruise. She's booked on this ship. So hopefully she'll be coming. So there you go. 2 cruises with absolutely amazing savings. And I'll go over some more of our groups. If you want to travel with us, just simply go to where'swaltertravel.com and click on the group travel section. All of our groups are up there. In fact, we have a new group that I'll talk about in just a little while. But yeah, it's going to be absolutely amazing. The Christmas market in Cologne are fabulous, says John Cooper. I'm telling you, man, I am so excited about this. Oh, and I forgot to mention that we will be going on the Avalon View in June 23rd through the 30th. We will be going from Amsterdam to Basel. So we're going to be hitting a bunch of the Christmas market stops. We kind of planned it that way. It's like it's going to be our very first river cruise. And why not go check out where we're going to be going for Christmas? So yeah, so much more information about that coming soon. And yes, I will be blogging the heck out of that when we do that. So, all right. So Alaska is our main topic. And I love that people have already jumped in with a bunch of questions about Alaska. Hey, Alex, how are you? I want to start going over a couple of things. Now, number one, documentation with Alaska. If you have a cruise that's going to start or end in Canada, you will need a passport. There's just no way around that. 100% you have to have a passport. If you're just stopping in Canada, if you're doing a round trip Seattle, round trip San Francisco, round trip Los Angeles, you will not need a passport to go to the Canadian ports. At least as of right now, you don't need a passport to go to those Canadian ports. You only have to have a passport if your cruise is going to start or stop in Canada. Generally, that's going to be Vancouver, British Columbia. Now, one of the sticky points about Alaska is a DUI. I have to ask this question almost every time somebody wants to cruise to Alaska.
It actually applies to Canada and New England, too.
That's true. It does apply to Canada and New England. But since we're talking about Alaska, a DUI is a felony in Canada. And depending... In general, the rule is if you have a DUI, you're not going to be allowed into Canada. And some folks have said, well, how are the Canadians going to know? Well, because the cruise line needs to submit the cruise line manifest to the Canadian authorities. Now, this applies to just port stops in Canada as well. This is not just about starting or stopping in Canada. So a DUI is a felony in Canada, and you can be denied boarding if you have a DUI on your record. Now, the Canadian authorities would be the ones flagging this. And people have said, well, do I have any recourse? All I can say is you would have to find an attorney who specializes in like immigration policies, things like that. I don't have an answer if there is any way around it or if you have any recourse, but it's just one of those things. And I've had some people say, you know, how does this all work? And it's like, and Joshua is saying, has anyone gone with the DUI? If the Canadian authorities don't flag it, then you could get on the ship. But if they do flag it, you're not going to be permitted to get on the ship, period.
And you won't get a refund.
And you will not get a refund from the cruise line because that is all on you.
But yes, there are people who have had them probably way in the distant past, but there's people who have had them and have gone on these cruises, but you just don't know.
Correct. So I have to ask the question every time. And in fact, I was just dealing with a situation with a client recently, and they were talking about, doing a big family Alaska cruise. And when I asked, they were kind of like surprised. And it's like, yeah, one of the members, it was like 30 years ago. Will it count? Will it apply? Will it stop them from going? They're actually going through the process now of talking to an attorney to find out, because I am not qualified. And the cruise lines will never give you an answer to say, yes, you can go. That's all up to the Canadian authorities when they submit. And the manifest usually goes about 48 hours before the cruise. So it's not even like you're going to have a warning. About 48 hours before the cruise, that's when they shut down everything. And then the manifest goes to the U.S. Coast Guard, and the manifest will go to the Canadian authorities. So you won't have any time to get a recourse at that point. And I don't know that travel insurance will cover you either, should you suddenly have to get off. Yeah. So maybe.
I guess if you had canceled for any reason, you just didn't say why. But
yeah.
Otherwise.
Yeah. So any suggestion for a first-time cruiser in the Caribbean? Bring lots of sunscreen for sure, because that sun is a lot hotter than you think it is. And if you're going to do any private shore excursions, make sure you vet the tour operators. Those are the two biggest pieces of advice that I can give you. Glass house lifestyle. Absolutely. Okay, so we talked about DUI. Yeah, that's just one of those sticky things. I don't like talking about it, but you kind of have to. Somebody asked about the ports, what are the best ports to sail out of? So your primary ports to sail out of: Seattle, Washington, Vancouver, British Columbia. That's where most of these cruises are going to start and or end. You can also do round trip from San Francisco and Los Angeles. Princess will sail out of San Francisco. Carnival will sail out of Los Angeles. It's basically a 7-day cruise that runs either 10 or 11 days, just due to the days that it takes to get up to Alaska and back. But those are options if you'd rather not go up that way. And then, of course, you can start in Alaska, usually Seward or Whittier. Those are the two starting points. And then you will come down to Vancouver. So those are the one way. They're called open jaw. They're usually 7 days, although Azamara has been doing 10 and 11 days. Again, when you start or end in Canada, you must have a passport. There's no way around that. You have to have a passport just to get on the ship. Certain cruise lines like Oceania, you must have a passport to get on the ship. Doesn't matter if it's round trip Seattle or not. You just have to have a passport to get on any Oceania cruise, and some of the other cruise lines as well will have that passport requirement. So yeah. Okay. And so those are the ports where we start. And then some of the ports, we kind of talked about it briefly earlier, thanks to Sue and Phil, but I'm going to talk about one more. I'm going to go through these one more time. So Juneau, Ketchikan, and Skagway, those are the big three. Juneau is known for whale watching. That is where we have our favorite whale watching tour, Harv and Marv. They are absolutely phenomenal out of Juneau. And Juneau is very, very busy these days. When we were there, I think there were 6 ships that might have been in there, including the Norwegian Joy. That was monstrous when it came in. So Juneau can be a very, very busy port when you come in. It kind of has the feel of the Caribbean now. It even has a Diamonds International. So it kind of has a little bit of a feel for there. But there are some very good tours that you can do out of there. And whale watching is probably one of the biggest things that they do out of Juneau. In Ketchikan, Ketchikan, they talk about liquid rain there because liquid sunshine because it rains so much up there. But it is a lovely little town. One of the things that we recommend, there's some good float planes out of there when the weather's good. You can get a good float plane and go up to the misty fjords. It's absolutely amazing. And of course, the Lumberjack Show is right there. Now, the Lumberjack Show is hokey, it's campy, but because Gary Bembridge said, you really need to do this, we did it the last time. And you know what? It was a lot of fun. It really was a lot of fun. And then there was the amazing Alaska Fish House right next to it. It was so good. But Ketchikan is known for that Lumberjack Show. And they're known for the float planes that fly in and out of there. So another great location for doing things like that. And then Skagway is famous for the train. The what is it? It is the Union and
Yukon.
The Yukon and White Pass Railway, which, by the way, is owned by Carnival Cruise Line or owned by Carnival Corporation. But that's really known for the train. Everybody wants to do the train. But the thing that a lot of people don't know about or don't think about, it's a great place to do a helicopter tour up to the dog sled camp if you want to do that. There's a company called Temsco Helicopters that will fly you up to a dog sled camp where you get to ride dog sled on a glacier. And they do that right there in Skagway. They also do it in Juneau, but in Skagway is where we know of them. So when we went to Skagway, we happened to have a very, very long port stay. This was years ago. And so we actually got to do the train in the morning, and then we did the helicopter, or the other way around. I can't remember which way around we did it. But that was a lot of fun. So those are like the three biggest ports. Those are really made for cruising.
And one thing, when we went, pretty much it was all round trip train travel.
Mm-hmm.
You started at the port and you went to
Right.
Canada and came back. Now there are a lot of those excursions that just go one way. And if that's the case, you do need a passport to do that excursion.
Yeah.
If you're going to just go from Alaska and stop in Canada and then bus back.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. So that is true. It used to be the round trip, so you didn't need the passport. Now you do because you're either starting or ending in Canada to do that.
That's just for the excursion, not the cruise itself per se.
Sitka. So Sitka is one of your smaller ports. Believe it or not, we did an amazing food tour in Sitka. I mean, that food tour blew us away. We were not expecting that. It is a nice small town. It's got a major Russian history there. Incredible salt. I remember we got that salt there that was incredible. And generally some good wildlife viewing up there as well. I don't know about the whale watching and stuff, but a lot of wildlife to see there. But like I said, we did a food tour that was absolutely insane. Haines is a really small stop. Haines was, if you're a fan of Dr. Oakley, Yukon Vet, that's actually where they filmed it. That's where that little lighthouse style building is, where that they turned into her clinic there. And that's why I was excited. I just wanted to see that. But it is a very small little town. Now, there was a great excursion that I did from there where we took a boat, I don't know, about 20, 30 minutes away, and we actually walked up to a glacier, which was different. We took a boat about 30 minutes away, got driven up to a camp, and then from that camp, we did canoeing right up to a glacier, which was actually really, really cool in Haines. So Haines is like, that's kind of like unspoiled Alaska, really small. I went into a local coffee shop, like, oh, you got to go up to this Russian bakery or Korean bakery to get some of the best donuts in town, which was really neat. Oh yeah, Phil and Sue are reminding me Haines has the hammer museum, like as in hammers, like you would use the tool hammer. Weirdly interesting. It's a very, 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 really interesting. Becky said the whale watching in Sitka was spectacular. Oh, that's great to know. Thank you. In Skagway, the Klondike Doughboy has a lot of delicious Alaskan fried bread. I think that's where Stephanie was having her fried bread when she went up there. That is amazing. I love it. Now, Wrangell is an interesting one. So Wrangell is just picture Mayberry. It is small town USA. We happened to be there on the 4th of July, which was a lovely day to come in. We ended up having to tender that day because the pier where we normally would dock up, they had all these activities going on, including a big lumberjack festival and things like that. Just really small town America. Like it was like like I said, like Mayberry. It's like a throwback. to Mayberry. It was so freaking cool to be there for the 4th of July with this just small town celebration going on. It was really cool. So that's Wrangell. Icy Strait Point, I told you guys, it is kind of like a private island in the Caribbean. So it's got that famous zip line. I think it's the world's longest, fastest, tallest zip line, or one of the world's tallest, fastest. It's taller than the Empire State Building. It is, I think, a mile and a half, mile and a quarter. I can't remember. It takes about 60 seconds to go down. We were doing over 60 miles an hour, according to what they told us. It was a crazy ride, so much fun. But then there's gondola rides. There are like, there's a lot of like touristy things. The whole thing is set up just for the cruises. There's some pretty good food there. There are a couple restaurants there. The coffee was not bad. But yeah, so Icy Strait Point is kind of like a private island experience, but in Alaska. It was literally built specifically for the cruise lines. And I know Norwegian helped to pay for one of the piers. I think the tribal nation built one of the piers. So only 2 ships can tie up. If there's any more than 2 ships, then they will be tendering in like we had to do with the Riviera. But that wasn't a problem. It's only 1,000 people on that ship. And then, of course, Victoria, British Columbia. The problem with Victoria, so when you have a cruise that's going round trip Seattle, round trip California, it's generally a token stop. It's like 3 hours, and it's from 9 p.m. until midnight or 8 p.m. until midnight. Not a lot of stuff is open except the stuff that is specifically open for the cruise ships at that point. I mean, a lot of stuff is open. You know, local restaurants and things are open, but you're not really going to see them. When you get on a cruise like what we did with Oceania, where we had 12 hours in Victoria, we got to go to the Bouchard Gardens. We got to go like actually explore downtown Victoria. Absolutely gorgeous. That is when Victoria is just a lovely, lovely stop. But, you know, a lot of times it's kind of a throwaway stop because we have to stop in another country. So let's just stop here, let people go off and do some super touristy thing, and then come back to the ship. That's what they have to do. But, Cheryl said they saw whales at a restaurant in Icy Strait Point. Some folks did tell us that the whale watching in Icy Strait Point was phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. So there's something else that you could potentially do there in Icy Strait Point is go whale watching for sure. Brandy says in Victoria, if you've done all the traditional flower gardens, Chinatown is very neat. Yes, we saw Chinatown. We didn't go through it, but we saw Chinatown. It looks absolutely amazing. Thank you for that, Brandy. I love that. All right, let me stop for a moment on Alaska because I see a couple of people actually talked.
One quick thing, just to answer the question, Alaska cruises have not started
I'm
yet.
sorry. Greer, no, the Alaska cruises have not. They're almost started. April they start going.
But that's mostly just Norwegian.
Yeah, mostly just Norwegian. Norwegian goes really early and really late. Most of the cruises are going to start up in May, but Alaska has not started yet. I do want to remind those of you watching on TikTok, if you want to ask a question about Virgin Voyages, they will filter you if you try to use the word Virgin. So just use VV. That's not me. That's TikTok doing it. So just a little friendly reminder. But I did see a couple of people mention the Philadelphia cruise. It's coming. Oh my gosh.
18 days.
18 days until we go to Philadelphia. Here's the big question. Where are we boarding the ship? Nobody knows. Nobody knows. It's going to be, I think they're going to wait until the day of the cruise and go and send us all a text and go, show up here. It's going to be like some secret thing. You know, you're going to have to knock 3 times in a certain way. We'll let you in. We'll let you on the ship.
Have a special handshake.
Yeah, secret handshake. You know, all the buses are going to blindfold everybody. So we have no idea where we're going. It's going to be a secret. No, it is like the silliest thing right now. You know, that's the thing about booking the first of anything. You know, we're always terrified when somebody wants to book the inaugural cruise of a ship because the ship might not be ready. In this case, the pier is not ready. Philliport is blaming the winter weather. Okay. They announced this 2 years ago. They had 2 years to build the terminal. They started construction in December in Philadelphia, and they're blaming the winter weather for they're not going to be done until summer.
Past December, not December a year ago, just this past December.
And mid-December, by the way, not even at the beginning of December. So they tried to build a pier in less than 5 months in the wintertime in Philadelphia. So so maybe the pier's not going to be ready. Wow, who'd have thunk? But the whole issue is they really haven't told us where we're going to be boarding yet, nor have they told anybody about the parking situation. We got people driving in. We've got 200 folks, almost 200 folks on that first cruise with Tony and Jenny B, who are enjoying the Luna right now. And then we're going to be heading up that way. It's going to be a lot of fun. We know we're going to have a great time. It's just, embarking and disembarking or debarking is going to be a cluster. We know we're going to be at one of their, fortunately, Philiport does have some industrial terminals. So we will be boarding at one of those industrial terminals. That's all. I think it's the one where they bring in the automobiles. It's the one we're actually going to be using. But who knows?
That's the rumor today.
That's the rumor today. We do not know.
Tomorrow, who knows?
Yeah.
And in 18 days, hopefully somebody.
I really do think that they're going to text us that morning and say, meet us here. Here's your wristband. Go walk through that tunnel and there will be a ship on the other side. It's just, you kind of have to laugh at this point. It is kind of silly. I can tell you that even some of the folks that I work with Norwegian are a little frustrated at this point. Norwegian has nothing to do with the terminal. They just signed a contract and said, hey, we're going to sail from Philadelphia. Sure. If you build it, yeah, we'll sail. So Norwegian is like, they are kind of stuck as well, trying to figure some things out. Brandy said worried about the parking in Philly. So the thing of it is the parking situation could change cruise to cruise. That's the weird thing. They say that the port is going to be ready by the summer. Your guess is as good as mine as what that could mean. I will say that some of the folks that are going on this first cruise with us are opting to park at the airport. And then they can just simply take, they're just going to leave their car at the airport and maybe come to a hotel downtown and then take, a shuttle over. Or they're going to park at the airport and then take the Norwegian shuttle from the airport to the ship. And then they can take it from the ship back to the airport. So at least, we know where we can park. So, so that is going to be a big, fun cruise. I know we're going to have a blast. We've got three days. There's going to be an event on the 3 sea days. That should be a lot of fun. It's just, it's just going to be a lot of fun.
If you're driving in, I would highly recommend do not count on parking at the port. Find some alternate off-site
You won't be parking at the port. The port, even
even the port area. Just find some off-site parking, whether it's the airport or somewhere else.
Yeah.
Start investigating that option.
Yeah, the port is supposed to announce some sort of off-site parking with shuttles. That's what they're supposed to announce. And again, they were supposed to build this by the time we all showed up 2 years later. So who knows? I know Norwegian's trying to come up with some alternative plans as well. So who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? Since we kind of paused on the Alaska a little bit, I'm going to walk through a couple of more of our group cruises. Again, now, if you're just tuning in, again, our Silver Sea Silver Ray cruise, January 5th through the 16th of 2027. That's an 11-night cruise. Our current savings are up to $1,800 per person. That's $3,600 for 2 people in a room. That's our savings right now. We don't have these for much longer. I keep saying that it is true. We do not have these for much longer. I'm afraid Silver Sea is going to reach out to me tomorrow at any time and just say, hey, we're taking your rooms back. So your rates are gone. So if you're kind of on the fence about going on Silver Sea in January, this is 11 nights starting at about $5,100 per person, which is like amazing for an 11-night, nearly all-inclusive cruise. About the same price as a junior suite on, on a Royal Caribbean. Some of those Royal Caribbean cruises just for 7 nights. So do reach out sooner than later, because at any time Silver Sea could just decide to take the room back. Of course, Christmas time on the Rhine, December 7th through the 14th. This is going to be on Avalon Waterways. If you wanted to do the Christmas markets, come sail with us. It's going to be absolutely amazing. Savings up to $700 per person. We're going northbound from Basel up to Frankfurt, Germany. It is going to be absolutely spectacular. It is one of those bucket list trips for us. Of course, in October, we're going to be celebrating our 30th. Yay! That's exciting. We're going to be celebrating our 30th, doing Italy and Croatia on the Celebrity Constellation. I love this because it's a smaller ship, plus or minus 2,000 people. I love these smaller ships. This is 10 nights, Ravenna to Rome, essentially. We got Ravenna, Split, Dubrovnik, Kotor, Messina, Salerno, Portofino, La Spezia, and Civitavecchia, which is your gateway to get up to Rome. That is a 10-night cruise, October 23rd through November 2nd of this year. And then if you want to stay on the ship like we're going to do, there is a back-to-back, which is a 15-day transatlantic crossing from November 2nd through the 17th, which brings the ship all the way to San Juan. We'll be stopping off in Valencia, Cartagena, Malaga, Tangier, St. Martin until we get to San Juan. So that is the group cruise. Now, our group rates are gone. We sold out of our group cabin. So we would be booking you at the current prevailing rates, but then we can move you into the group, and then you can come sail with us. I think we got 36 people, something like that, going on this particular cruise. So again, Celebrity Constellation, October 23rd through November 2nd of 2026, best of Italy and Croatia. Then our newest one, some people were asking about this. Are you going to do a group cruise for Virgin Voyages and the 4 ships coming together next February? I said probably not, but then Corey's like, now wait a minute. Yes, I think we will. So Corey, our associate agent Corey, is going to be heading up a Virgin Voyages group sailing February 14th through the 21st, 2027 on the Resilient Lady. This will be the first time that all 4 ships are coming together. The Brilliant, the Resilient, the Valiant, and Scarlet are all coming together on, I believe, February 16th in the ocean. They're going to make a big party out of this. Sir Richard claims that he's going to be on all 4 ships. I wouldn't put it past him. Maybe he'll do it. Maybe he won't. But this will be Miami, Freeport, the Sisters at Sea Celebration, Progresso, and the Bimini Beach Club. So if you want to go on that big Sisters at Sea celebration, Corey is heading that up. Then Mindy is heading up a really cool trip. If you want to go to Japan, this is in November, November 22nd through December 12th of 2026. Sapphire Princess, journey to Hawaii and Japan. You start out in Los Angeles. You do 5 islands in Hawaii, Maui, Kilo, Kona, Honolulu, and Kauai. Then you end up in Tokyo, Japan on December 12th. That is being hosted by Mindy on the Sapphire Princess. We got a couple of folks going on that one. And then Mindy actually has 2 more. I'm going to run through these quick. She is doing the Celebrity Eclipse Transatlantic, November 8th through 23rd of 2027, Barcelona to Fort Lauderdale. And she's doing a Caribbean Princess, November 23rd through the 28th on the Star Princess from Port Canaveral. Star Princess from Port Canaveral? Really? I'm going to have to check that again. I didn't know Star was coming up to Port Canaveral.
I did not know that.
I thought it was Fort Lauderdale. I might have that wrong. It might be Fort Lauderdale. I bet it's Fort Lauderdale.
It's going to be Florida.
Yeah, it's going to be Florida for sure. So, yeah. But anyway, she's doing those cruises. So now I just ran through those. If you would like to join any of our group cruises, just simply go to where'swaltertravel.com, click on group travel. All of the information is there. All of the trips are there, including that new Virgin Voyages. So BB Man says it's not a Gulf if you're cruising on the outside of Vancouver Island. It is the Pacific Ocean. I know some people are like the Gulf of Alaska. I'm like, I don't really think it's called the Gulf of Alaska, but it is basically the Pacific Ocean once you're outside. So you're in the ocean or you're in the inside passage, one or the other. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. So what have we talked about? So we've talked about port and things. So cruise ships and cruise line, big question. I want to go to Alaska. Who should I be sailing on? That is the topic of the day. If you're just tuning in, we're talking about Alaska cruises and cruise tours. I guess we should talk about cruises and cruise tours first. What's the difference there? Because, you know, people are like, well, what's a cruise tour? So a cruise tour means that you're going to spend part of the time on land and part of the time on the ship. In general, the cruise part is going to be 7 days, but not always. Sometimes it's only 3 days or 4 days. But in general, for most of them, the cruise portion of it's going to be 7 days. Then you will be staying on land for the other part of the tour. That could be anywhere generally from 3 days up to, I think, 11 days on land. And it's all packaged as one tour. And the land portion of it runs very similar to a cruise in the sense that, you know, the cruise line provides all the transportation, When you're going to move from hotel to hotel, you actually put your bags outside the room. They collect them just like they do on the ship. And the land portion can be anything from it's almost a DIY, where the cruise line provides the lodging, they provide the transportation, but then what you do at each of the stop is totally up to you. It could be a combination where there are some planned activities, such as the Denali History Tour in Denali National Park, or maybe the steamboat in Fairbanks with the gold panning, stuff like that. Maybe that's planned, but then you've got spare time. Or you can have completely, you have a guided tour for the entire time with a little free time just to do some things like that. So there are all different ways of doing a cruise tour to suit the amount of time that you have, to suit your budget. There is only one cruise line that will take you to the Yukon, and that is Holland America. And then there are also some land tour partners like Colette, I think Trafalgar, there's at least one other that partner up, Globus, that partner up with some of these cruise lines, and you do the land portion with like, Colette or Tauk or somebody like that. And then you do the cruise portion with like a Holland America or somebody like that. But again, it's all sold as one package. So there are many different ways to do the land sea thing. And I will tell you, we talked about it earlier in the show. We saw more wildlife when we did our 7-day land portion than we did on the ship. We saw a lot of whales. We saw a lot of eagles on the ship. But we saw like the grizzlies and the owls and the moose and the caribou and all of that when we were on the land portion of it. Not to say you won't see it on the ship part, but if you have the time to do the land portion, oh my gosh, you generally will have more opportunities to see things because you're just right there. You're staying on land. Now, when it comes to land, the tours are not created equal. Princess owns the most lodges. I think they own 5 now. Something like that. You get Denali, Talkeetna, Fairbanks, and a few others. Holland America owns the lodge in Denali, which is actually undergoing a major renovation right now. Then some of the other cruise lines, such as Celebrity, they partner up with various hotels, and the level of the hotel and the level of the accommodations will vary across the cruise line. Celebrity tends to go with higher price, higher end, places. Again, Princess has all their own, and then Holland America has a combination thereof. So all cruise tours are not created equal. But if you have the time to do it, oh my gosh, it's really amazing to do. And it's one of the things that we can certainly help you figure out. It's like, well, which one is right for us? If you can do it, we recommend doing the land part first because you move around more. You might be in a hotel, depending on the tour, you could be in a hotel like one day, over 3 days, each day you're moving around, or maybe a couple of days you're moving around. So you generally move around on the land tour, whereas once you get on the ship, you unpack and you're there. So when you can, we like to put you on the ship first and then do the land tour second, we like to put you on the land tour first and then do the ship second, which generally means you're going to be going southbound on the ship. So you'll be starting in Alaska and then you'll come southbound down to Vancouver. But if you're somebody like, I really don't need that long of a cruise, Holland America has a version that's only like a 3 or 4 day cruise. You pick up the cruise halfway through and you're doing all this land stuff and then you hop onto the ship. So there are all different ways to do Alaska. Tom and Dom, how are you guys? Hey, good to see you. Thanks so much for joining us from across the pond.
The one thing I do recommend if you're doing the land tour, have at least 2 nights in Denali.
Yes.
Because the only way you can upgrade, if it's included at all, to the better tour through Denali is if you're there for 2 nights.
Yes.
The Tundra Wilderness Tour. If you're just there one night, the timing does not work out, so that you will be doing the Natural History Tour, which does not go that far into the park.
That's very true. Very true. Hey, Traveling with the Scooters here. Hey, Amazing Adventures. How are you? Good to see you. Thanks for tuning in. So what she was talking about right there, there is a tour in Denali National Park. There's only one way to do it. You got to go on these basically school buses that will take you into the park. And boy, let me tell you, it is a fun ride. When you look out the window and you don't see a road and it's like 200 feet down, it's kind of scary. But there are 2 versions of that tour. One is the One is like the Denali History Tour, I think they call it, and you go about 10 miles into the park and you come out. That's included with a lot of the cruise tours. Then there's the Tundra Wilderness Tour that will go as far into the park as possible. When Rebecca and I did it, it was about 90 miles. We went way into the park, and that's where we saw the grizzlies, the caribou, we saw the owls, we saw all that stuff. They had a washout, I think 2 years ago now. And so the buses can go about 44 miles in, and then they've got to turn around. So until they fix the road, which I think they were going to try to get it open this year, but this is Alaska, so it could take some time. But the Tundra Wilderness Tour is the one you want to do. And if you're only in Denali for a day, you're not going to have the time to get it. And you do have to book that in advance because it does fill up.
And you need to be aware that I think the Natural History Tour doesn't start up until mid May.
Right.
And the Tundra Wilderness Tour generally doesn't start up till towards the end of May. And assuming it's probably similar on the back end.
Yeah.
So the timing of it is not necessarily the same as what the cruises are.
Right. And for those of you who are new to the channel, that is my lovely wife, Rebecca, sitting right off camera. And we invite you to like, subscribe, share, do all those wonderful things that social media likes for you to do. We're here almost every Sunday for 90 minutes from 10:30 a.m. Eastern time to help answer your questions. And now we're doing this thing where we just come into the show with topics, which has been a lot of fun. And today we're talking Alaska in particular, but we'll answer any of your questions. Before I get to the getaway, tag teaming on what she said, when you do like the 3-day land tour, you do the 4-day land tour, you might be staying at a different place every single day. So it's a little more hectic. If you can do 7 days on land, that to me is the best way to try to do land, because then you're generally going to get like 2 days in Fairbanks, 2 days in Denali, 2 days in maybe Caltitna, maybe Copper River. Oh, Copper River. That was the other one. Oh my God. Copper River, Princess's Copper River Lodge. Best salmon I've ever had in my life because it's caught right there in the Copper River.
Although there are shorter land portions that literally will spend all 3 days in Denali.
Yeah, like one place, or all 3 days in Talkeetna. Like if you're somebody that really wants to go fishing, staying down in Talkeetna and that area, there's like some like world-class fishing down that way as well. And yes, you can go fishing. Yes, you can have it frozen and sent back. There are some cruise lines, I think Oceania is one of them, they will prepare the fish on the ship. You bring the ship. As long as you do it with a ship excursion, they will bring the fish back and prepare for you that night, which is kind of cool. So yeah, and again, if you're going to do land, now Princess alone probably has 50 different variations on their land tours, and they're very confusing as to what is what. Holland America has a ton of different land tours as well. So if you're thinking about it, certainly, reach out, let us help you out. Again, our services are 100% free to you, but at least work with a travel agent that has experience booking Alaska, going to Alaska. We've been to Alaska twice now, definitely planning to go back. And we have probably sent well over 200 guests up to Alaska over the past 3 years. We've done a ton of research. The land tours are very confusing as to, wait, what's the difference? Like I see the exact same tour 30 times. What's the difference between these 30 different tours? We can help you figure that out for sure. So, but Amazing Adventures wants to know, have we sailed on the Norwegian Getaway? Yes.
That was our first Norwegian
yes,
ship.
That was. I was thinking the Breakaway, but it was the Getaway. We've been on the Getaway, the Escape, and the Aqua so far. And the Getaway, I like that Breakaway class ship because I love the oceanfront down on deck 8. Absolutely fabulous, beautiful place to sit. Lots of great seating. They have outdoor seating for the restaurant. They usually have one bar that's out there. I think the Getaway is the one that has that mojito bar outside. But absolutely beautiful ship. They have the standard atrium with the big screen, which is so much better for the games and the trivia and everything. I don't like what they've done on the Prima class, where it's like a hotel lobby, and they're trying to make it work for the games and whatnot. So it's okay. But the Getaway, the knock for me on Norwegian is the included food is okay. I think their main dining room is okay. The buffet is okay, but their specialty dining is where they shine. That's where the dining shines on Norwegian. Really, really good. And of course, they got Starbucks, which is I guess that's a good thing.
And I'll agree that the pool situations the pools are bigger than, say, Virgin Voyages, there's just the crowds
Yeah.
at the pool deck is just insane on
Yeah.
sea day.
Yeah, the pool area on Norwegian on that breakaway class just not that great. Just not that great. It is it's too small of a pool, and too many people just kind of jam up on it. So fortunately, that's not our jam anyway, so it doesn't bother us. But
Oh no, I love pools. I just avoid
yeah,
those
she likes
pools.
pools, just not that one.
I mean, literally, when we were on the escape last month, last month,
yeah.
It kind of gave me a little bit of an anxiety attack
Yeah.
just walking through
Yeah.
the pool area.
Alex is asking if you've got a land tour, can you cancel and rebook if it goes down? It's incredibly rare that the price will go down on a land tour. If anything, it's going to go up. So because the land portion itself is tied in with the cruise, you can't look at the cruise.
Yeah.
If the cruise, because it doesn't matter what the price of the cruise is. You're buying a package which includes the land tour. If you want to compare prices, then you're just going to go on the cruise and forget the land tour. So, but that's a great question. That's a great question. It is incredibly rare because the cruise tours are much more limited than the cruise is. You know, a cruise ship on Princess, let's just say a Princess ship takes 3,000 people, maybe, 400 of those people are on a cruise tour. So the cruise tours are very, very limited. They have no reason to discount the cruise tours at all. Because they do sell very, very well, and they'd rather go without some extra people than reduce the rate just to get more people on it. They can always reduce the rate on the cruise itself. And I missed, John had a question up here. Where were you, John? Is it true that Alaska sailings are more casual and relaxed dress codes for dinner? I'm a carry-on only packer and hope to bring the least amount as possible. I would say, yeah. Only because, Alaska tends to be longer port stays as well. So you might be on land into the evening. So certainly, on like, I think you're going on Princess. So Princess has always been, nice jeans in the evening, a polo shirt or a button down shirt in the evening. But like, if you got a flannel shirt on in Alaska, they're not going to say anything. You go on in with a jeans and a flannel shirt. So, yeah.
I mean, there's still
you don't need to worry about having slacks on if that's what you're saying, but certainly nice jeans. You don't want to have anything ripped or dirty.
Yeah, and they're still not going to want you to have shorts on in the dining rooms at night.
Right, and printed T-shirts. They still don't really like that. They'll probably let you get away with it in Alaska, but they still don't like to have like things like printed T-shirts. But yeah, jeans and a nice, a nice.
Collared
shirt or a flannel shirt, something like that, certainly sweaters, depending on the temperature. Yes, Alaska, they definitely do tend to, just because of the nature of what's going on. One of the cool things too, like if you're going to Glacier Bay, for those cruises that are going to Glacier Bay, one of the questions we get is like, what's the big deal about Glacier Bay? Glacier Bay happened to be so deep that the ships can get very, very close to the glacier. It almost seems like you can almost reach out and touch it. But when the ship pulls up to Glacier Bay, you are looking up at the glacier, no matter how tall that ship is. It is that tall of a glacier. And that's the appeal of it, that ship can get that close. And one of the cool things that happens is, in general, there's a naturalist on the ship. And I know on the Princess ship, we had an aft balcony, and the ship goes into a slow 360 spin. It probably takes like 20 minutes for it to complete the entire spin around, so everybody on the ship can see it. And the naturalist is narrating and answering questions. The cool thing is, when we put the TV on the bridge cam, we could hear all that. So we just simply turned the volume up, and we were out on our balcony, and we could hear everything they were saying. So that was kind of cool. And that's why so many people are like, I want Glacier Bay, because it is, from a cruise ship, it is the most spectacular glacier viewing that you can possibly have. Second to that would be College Fjord. I think Princess may be the only one still going there. College Fjord is absolutely insane, how absolutely beautiful, because the ship sits right in the middle of about 7 glaciers that are all coming in.
And they only go there on their northbound.
On their northbound, they only go a little bit. And then Hubbard Glacier is the best that most of the cruise lines can do. You're going to be about a quarter mile, sometimes a half a mile away from the glacier, depending on the ice conditions. and the and a couple of other factors going on. The real small ships can get in closer, like the Regent Seven Seas Explorer got closer than the Oceania Riviera did, and Oceania Riviera is not very big. So, but you can usually get within a quarter, maybe closer to a half mile away from that glacier. So it's still impressive, but it is a ways away. There is a local tour operator that if you're going to Hubbard Glacier and you see this excursion on your cruise, book it. It's going to be like $300, something like that. But I can tell you, based on the pictures that one of our guests brought back, I was kicking myself for not doing this excursion. Basically, a catamaran pulls up to the ship in Hubbard Glacier. It's just like a tender, pulls up just like a tender, and it takes you within a couple hundred yards of the glacier, and they pick up ice out of the water. I don't know if they make drinks with it, but they pull some ice out of the water. And her pictures on her phone, she was so freaking close. I was like, oh my God. And it was like a $300 excursion, something like that, because it is a very unique thing. But I will tell you, based on her pictures, I would make sure that I was doing that the next time I go to Alaska. So that's in Hubbard Glacier.
That's another thing to be aware of. If you're used to sailing in the Caribbean, you're going to have to, for Alaska, you're going to have to budget more for your shore excursions.
Oh, yeah. They're a lot more expensive.
Because while there are less expensive ones, the ones that people really tend to want to do that are just quintessential Alaska are going to cost you more money.
Yeah, your helicopter is going to be like $300 probably per person, somewhere in there, maybe $450 if you want to do a helicopter to a dog sled camp. Be very aware, and we're kind of jumping into the excursion, but be very aware that a lot of dog sled camps and activities are land-based, especially if you're doing, if they say, oh, we're just 10 minutes from the port, there's not going to be any snow. So you're going to be on land, you're going to be on wheels, you might be on a four-wheeler, you might, if you want to actually do a dog sled on the snow, you're going to have to fly in a helicopter more than likely and get away from the port and go up into the mountains where you will dog sled onto a glacier. That's going to be a minimum $400 per person, probably. So those are expensive. Are they worth it? Yeah. If you've never done it before, oh my God. I mean, these are like once in a lifetime experiences. John said he hoped the star can get close to Endicott with the azopods. You would probably get about a half a mile away, maybe less. It all depends. Endicott, Tracy Arm Fjord, that's the one where they have the most trouble getting anywhere as close to the glaciers, just because the water, it narrows down so much. So that one, you'll have a further view than you would if you went to Hubbard. Hubbard, you can get closer to more often. It's a much wider channel. And I think Endicott Arm, they may also have a similar type of excursion where you can get onto a catamaran boat that will take you up. And if you see that, certainly buy into that. But Endicott Arm is of the glaciers, like ranking them. You got Glacier Bay #1 all the way, College Fjord #2, Hubbard Glacier #3, Endicott Arm probably be #4, just in terms of the viewing experience from the ship. So Endicott Arm, I mean, that's the thing. When you got a ship that big, she can't get into certain areas. I don't know if she's allowed to go to Hubbard Glacier because she would disturb the glacier. And that's the other thing too. When you have these big ships, they can't get close because they stir up, they stir up too much of the water. So they're not permitted. Like I said, the Regent Seven Seas Explorer actually got closer to Hubbard Glacier than we did with the Oceania Riviera. There are limitations put on all these ships that you can get this close, you can get that close, and things like that. And I know Endicott Arm is the one that the distance changes quite a bit based on, and if it's foggy, then you may or may not get up there at all. I know when it's foggy, the ship generally don't go up into the channel. So hopefully it's going to be good. Star Princess is going to be a beautiful ship in Alaska, but you will be somewhat limited in what you're going to see and what you're going to be able to do just because of the size of that ship. But she is a beautiful ship. I mean, she's going to be absolutely stunning. If you want to cruise the Inside Passage, the majority of trips leave from Vancouver, not Seattle. Actually, not really. Princess has a ton that go through the Inside Passage. Now, sometimes it's the Inside Passage on the way back. But, I mean, almost every cruise out of Vancouver is going to go through the Inside Passage, but a whole mess of them go out of Seattle as well. Princess, almost every departure for Princess goes through the Inside Passage. Almost, not all of them. So no, I wouldn't say the majority leave from Vancouver. It's just because of where they're leaving from in Vancouver. They're going to naturally go up the Inside Passage, but a ton of them from Seattle do it as well. They just may do it on the way back, not necessarily on the way up. A whole bunch of them will go around the outside in the Pacific Ocean and then come back southbound through the Inside Passage. So yeah, it's a little different. Aaron from Wabash County, Indiana. How are you? Good to see you. Thanks so much for tuning in. And folks, if you're just tuning in, I'm Walter, your independent travel agent with Where's Walter Travel. Our services are truly 100% free to you. So if we can help you in any way, please reach out at where'swaltertravel.com. There are links wherever you're watching me, or just go to where'swaltertravel.com and set up an appointment. We would love to help you. We happen to be the top travel agent in Florida for KHM Travel Group. That actually shocked me. We're the top travel agent for Oceania Cruises, for Virgin Voyages, and the state of Florida for 2025 for KHM Travel Group. That's actually kind of cool. Not bad for this little thing that Rebecca and I have built. So Tom and Dom, they have cruised Norway and Greenland. How does Alaska compare? I wish I had cruised Norway and Greenland. We haven't done Norway yet. But from what I'm told, actually, I bet Betty, if you're still watching, Betty just did Norway, and I know she's done Alaska as well. But from what I'm told, they are actually two very different experiences. Those who did Norway first expected Alaska to be a lot like it. With Norway, you do have those big fjords, so you're like traveling in the valley with the big fjords. The Inside Passage is not like that at all. Everything is lower. You don't have the big mountains are further away. So it's not like you're going right through the valley and you're looking way up at the mountains. I can tell you that. But the Inside Passage is almost more like river cruising, where you have, the ship tends to be at the same height or a little taller than the land around you. So you don't get that sense of scale on the ships like that. In terms of the temperature and the weather and all that might be similar. I think from what I've seen of the stops in Norway, certainly Alaska, especially the big three, have really become more commercialized. They're more like Caribbean ports, especially Juneau. Juneau is more like a Caribbean port now because there is so much built up around it. Ketchikan, Skagway, and Juneau have definitely really built up around the cruise line trade. From what I've seen of Norway, there's some of that, but it still retains a lot of the local and natural charm. Betty, if you're still there, I would love to hear. If anybody has been to Norway and Alaska, I would love to hear your thoughts as well. The differences, Tom and Dom are asking, what are the differences between Greenland and Norway and going to Alaska, because they've done the former. I don't know. I really want to go to Greenland as well. It looked absolutely amazing. We had the opportunity to go to Norway this year with Holland America, but we had to decline. The timing just didn't quite work out, and it was a 7-day cruise. If we're going to go all the way over there, we want to do like a 14-day, like really explore. And Holland has some really nice 14-day itineraries. By the way, guys, I don't know if we'll have a chance to see. I'm going to let you guys know we're coming over. We're doing Avalon Waterways on the Rhine from Amsterdam to Basel, and we might be doing AMA Waterways Paris round trip. So I'm gonna get with you guys, and if you guys happen to be coming over that way at all while we're there, that would be awesome. So anyway, thanks for tuning in. Love having you guys here. We got to have you guys back on a show. That would be a lot of fun. Oh, there, Betty. They've been to Norway and Alaska. Alaska has wildlife, and Norway is primarily scenic. Oh, that is awesome, Betty. That is quick and to the point. Yeah, and Phil and Sue are kind of echoing what I said. Very much more village-like in Norway, less commercial, and the fjords are spectacular. So yeah, it really is. From what I've seen and what they're emphasizing now too, is that you just get that dramatic sense of scale. You're just a little bitty ship in this huge fjord. Whereas when you're in Alaska, the ship is kind of on par with the land that's all around you. Now, as you go distance, yeah, you see the big mountains. And if you go up into a helicopter, you go up into the big mountains. But around the ship, there's less of that fjord feeling, fjord look, I guess, if you will. Thank you, guys. You guys are awesome. Bum, 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 bum. Let's see more. Your Disney Alaska from Vancouver did inside passage both ways. The Disney sailing you did from Alaska a couple years later went up and only partial inside passage down. That is true. It just depends on the itinerary. You know, it depends on how they're doing it. Disney, I tell you, Disney has Mickey's best outfit of any ship there. You know, that little Gloucester fisherman thing that he wears. I love that outfit. And of course, Minnie has that beautiful jacket that she wears. So we kind of want to do Disney in Alaska just to see them in their outfits. They're so cute.
I don't know about that.
Oh, come on. I think it'd be fun.
Well, I'm not saying it wouldn't. It's just I'm
Yeah.
thinking there's
They're better cruise. You know, what I would really like to do in Alaska next might be like Silver Sea or Azamara. I'd like to do one of those. Oceana was such a lovely experience getting the opportunity to go into those small towns. Of course, going back to Princess and doing another land tour.
although yeah, I do want to
That'd be
do
nice.
that, but I'm also very tempted by some of the very long cruises that Holland America
Well,
has.
yeah, Holland America has 14 and 28 days.
Yeah.
A 28-day cruise. Woo! They also have a fire and ice cruise too. That's 28 days that you do Alaska and Hawaii, but it's round trip Seattle. Woo! How fun would that be? That would be fun. Let me see. Like Norway. You like Norway the best. Oh, actually, Betty liked Norway a little bit more than Alaska, but both are great. That's funny. But yeah, so it is two very different experiences. And like I said, you know, Alaska, especially the big three, they have become commercialized. It's a lot, you know, we first went, gosh, we went almost 15 years ago.
2008.
Yeah, the first time we went, it was a very different experience. Everything had not blown up yet the way it does now. You know, you have up to 100 ships operating in Alaska. That's why Cunard left. You know, this is the final season for Cunard. After this year, Cunard is gone because it's getting very crowded. So we'd like to send guests, if you can, go in May, early June, or go in September when there are far less ships in that area and far less people too. So yeah. So I mean, Alaska is still Alaska, but you know, if you're only doing the big three and you're coming in, like, man, when the Norwegian Joy came into port that one day, it was just blotting out the sun. It was just so big. We were so glad that we got there early. I know it never stopped. It's like that ship ever going to stop? But we were so glad that we got there early.
And when we saw them having to get all those people having to get back on the
oh my God, they were
mass of humanity heading back to the ship at the end of the day was nuts.
For Alaska, I like ships of 2,000 or less. I really do. You know, smaller the better in Alaska. It's easier to get off the ship. You tend to come into port early. You tend to stay in port later. Like we saw that too with the Norwegian Joy. It would show up after we got there. It would leave before we left. We saw that quite a bit too, because the big ships are more about, okay, go have your fun, but then get back on here because we got to start dinner. We got all the entertainment. We want you back in the casino. Whereas when you get on the smaller ships that are more about the destination, is we're going to be here for 10 hours. We're going to be here for 12 hours. We had 4 port stops, I think, that were 12 hours or longer. One port stop that was like 15 hours, something like that on our Oceana cruise. So we just had time. We had time to do so much, and it wasn't like we could go on land. We came back to the ship, we had lunch, and then we went back out on land, did more. It was so cool to do something like that. Yeah, the Yukon is like the last frontier. You can only get to the Yukon on Holland, and that is one of the things that really intrigues me, is doing that land tour where you fly over to the Yukon.
I mean, as far as cruise ships go, you could go there by land.
Oh, you can totally do. Oh, yeah. And that's the thing. You know, we've got some amazing land tours. If you're like, hey, I just want to do it by land, I don't want to do it on a ship. Oh, yeah. We got Colette, Trafalgar. We got multiple companies that do land tours up there. So if you want to do some land tours, and if you want to do something totally different, you know, like, well, I would like to do a ship. American Cruise Line. We haven't even talked about them. American Cruise Line, only 200 people, little catamarans, man. They don't go to Canada at all. They just stay in the U.S. They do not visit Canada at all because they're all registered in the U.S. Totally different kind of cruising. Only 200 people. It's just basically like a little river ship hitting all these ports and going to a lot of ports. I feel bad that we always forget to bring them up in the conversation, but American Cruise Line, what an experience they offer. Basically that river cruise experience, but you're going to Alaska instead. So absolutely amazing. wow, we're kind of rolling along with this day today. Now, some of the things to do in Alaska, Rebecca already brought up the fact that things can be expensive, especially the things that you want to do. One of the number one things that people do in Alaska, whale watching. We highly recommend. There's a company called Harv and Marv in Alaska, in Juneau, and they are recognized as one of the top whale watching companies in all of Alaska. We have sent so many of our clients on it. They've all come back satisfied. What I love is their boats are generally around 16 people. They're not these big, massive boats. They will pick you up at the cruise pier. It takes about 20 minutes to get to where they are, but they will pick you up right at the cruise pier. They take you to the boat. They bring you back to the boat. It is absolutely fabulous. And they're just great people. They're just so much fun. When we went with our group, we actually had our own boat. We had a private boat of 16 people. It was great. And you can do that. Like if you're going up with family members. In fact, they have a boat. I think it's only 6 people, something like that. So like if you just want your own private little, and what's cool about that is like, you know, they can just duck and weave. They have a planned location, but if they hear something going on, whoa, they're just going to go shoot over that way and see if we can get over to the whale. So, so that'll be a lot of fun for sure. Then there's a lot of hiking and natural types of tours, a ton of kayak. There's a lot of water sports up there. You got your kayaking, you got high-speed boating, you got fishing in a lot of places. I mentioned that before. They will freeze the fish and send it back home if you'd like that. Some of them will prepare it when you get back to land. Some cruise lines like Oceana, if you were on an Oceana fishing excursion, they will actually bring the fish back onto the ship and the chef will prepare it for you, which is actually kind of cool right there. Of course, helicopter tours, helicopter rides. You really need to investigate and explore to see like who do you want to go on a helicopter with. I can tell you we did Temsco helicopters in Juneau and they were phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal.
Not Juneau.
Skagway, but they're also in Juneau. So I talked about the dog sled camp before. A lot of people want to do the dog sled. I want to go dog sledding. If the dog sled camp is close to the port, you're not going to be on snow. You are going to be on wheels. You're going to be on land. Unless they have a freak snowstorm, you're probably not going to be on snow. If you want to be on snow and do a dog sled on a glacier or in the snow, you have to fly up into the mountains. You have to take a helicopter. Those are very expensive. I'm talking like $400, $450 per person. It is totally worth it. We have clients who will book Alaska cruises in an inside cabin because I want to spend all my money on the excursion. That is a great idea. You know, it's nice to have that balcony. It's beautiful to have that balcony and sit out there. We enjoy it all the time. But if you're like, I would rather spend the money on the excursion, then that's the way you should go. Spend the money on the excursion because they will be expensive in Alaska. There's no way around that.
The other thing to be aware of with the helicopters to the dog sled camp is that is one of the most canceled excursions.
Mm-hmm.
Because the dog sled camp is in a specific location. If that location is fogged in, the helicopters can't fly.
Yeah. Well, it's more like the path between Skagway or Juneau and the dog sled camp. It can get foggy. And if it's foggy, obviously the helicopters cannot safely operate, so you won't go. In that case, they gave us 2 options because that's what we were supposed to do. We could not go. They said, we'll give you your money back, or if you'd like, we'll fly you to another glacier that we can get to. And there's a naturalist waiting on the glacier, and you'll spend about an hour on the glacier, and then we'll fly you back. And that's what we decided to do because I really wanted my helicopter ride, so we did it.
And we got a partial refund because of the price difference.
Yeah, it was a price difference, obviously. But what was really cool about it, they flew us one way to get to the glacier, and then they flew us a different way to get back. So we got 2 completely different looks, and it was really cool. And it was actually really cool flying over the ships. And it was, it reminded me, those of you who remember MASH, the television show, but there was that shot where you see the other helicopters, you know, flying ahead of you. And that's what it looked like because we were the 4th of 4 helicopters. So it was kind of, I was like, oh my God, this is like MASH, you know, with the way the helicopters are flying in formation like this. So I got my helicopter ride, didn't get on the dog sleds yet, but that's still something that I want to do. But yeah, so just know that the dog sled camp can be canceled. But if you're going to a dog sled camp that's 10 minutes from the port, 20 minutes from the port, just know that you're going to be riding on wheels and down a dirt path, probably. probably.
And
Maybe a gravel path.
that one likely will not get canceled, though. There is that.
Yeah, there is that. And you're still going to get to see the dogs, and you're still going to ride on a dog sled, a modified dog sled. It just won't be the snow one. So just be aware of that. Nothing wrong with it. And of course, there's a lot of great food in Alaska. There really is. You got the reindeer sausage, you got stuff made from, there's all kinds of fish up there. We found in Sitka, this amazing salt. This guy makes all this amazing salt of all things. Craziest thing, we still have it here. So there's a lot of great food up there. Of course, the former brothels that are now bars and stuff. There's the reindeer fart, I think they call it, the shot, which is kind of fun. There's a lot of really funny things up there in Alaska. So it is absolutely beautiful. It is absolutely wonderful. But when you want to do some of these things, they will be a little bit expensive. Now, packing. I do want to touch on packing. Clothing wise, you definitely want layers. It always makes me laugh when some people are like, well, I don't want to go when it's cold. It's like, it's Alaska. I kind of want it to be cold when I go up to Alaska. But, as you get into the summer months, it will obviously be warmer. It could be in the 70s during the day, sometimes even touching the 80s during the day, which is kind of crazy. But with Alaska, you want layers. You want to be able to take off layers as the day goes on, because, we had it where the day started around 40 and then it got up to the 70s. So you want to have a backpack so you can take off the layers, put them in the backpack as the day warms up. And then, even as the day warms up, suddenly the clouds come in and the temperatures can drop like 10 degrees right off the bat as soon as the sun. Huh?
And it rains.
And then it rains. You have to have a rain slicker with you at all times in Alaska. Do not go any place. Oh, hey, it's a beautiful sunny day. Do not go anywhere, because you're in a rainforest. A lot of people don't realize that you're in a rainforest for a lot of this Alaska cruise. So it could rain at any given time. So we recommend these things called a 3-in-1 jacket. So it's got a rain slicker, windbreaker on the outside. It's got a warm part on the inside, like it might be a down, it might be some other thing, but it's a warmer jacket on the inside. And when you put the two together, it's like a winter jacket, or you can just wear the rain slicker, or you can just wear the warmer part depending on the weather that day. It's nice because you literally get 3 jackets for one. Ours comes from LL Bean, but Columbia Sportswear has them. I think North Face has them. There's a lot of them out there, but it's called a 3-in-1 jacket. Certainly check that out. And again, the layers. You really want to have layers. If your hands and feet get cold, they do have hand warmers. There's a chemical version where you just simply hit the pack and it warms up. And now they have a USB rechargeable version, which actually Rebecca just got me a set of those for our Christmas markets cruise.
They're not here yet.
Yeah. So, and I will say they were great. I put the hand warmers in the gloves, and there was one day that we were doing when we were on land. The coldest day we had was the day that we were doing it wasn't whitewater rafting, but it was
just
rafting.
River rafting.
Yeah, river rafting. We decided to go river rafting on the coldest day. It was in the 30s that morning. It was so cold.
Well, we planned that before we knew
I know. And so I had the hand warmers in my gloves. I also had them in my feet. It felt great. It felt absolutely great. So if you are somebody that the extremities get cold, you can do these hand warmers. Again, the chemical packs are great. You just smack them and they get warm. They last for a couple of hours. Or you can get, I think they even have vests.
Yes,
you can get.
I think those are rechargeable.
Yeah, rechargeable now. A lot of people wear those to the football games.
I know they have the chemical ones for your feet. I'm assuming they probably have some rechargeable ones nowadays for your feet too.
Yeah. So certainly if you're somebody that does get cold or your extremities get cold, have some of those warmers with you. Because again, it could be sunny out and it feels great. Man, the clouds come in. It's like, whoa, it just got cold again. So now I'll get my long sleeve shirt out. I usually have like a t-shirt on. I might have a long sleeve shirt on, and then I've got the jacket, or I may have another sweater over the long sleeve shirt and then the jacket. And then I just start taking off the layers as I warm up. So you definitely want to have layers. Diabetic says he has the rechargeable USB hand warmers, and they're great. Yeah, she basically got them for me for the Christmas markets cruise, which isn't for another year, but I will use them before that.
I'll say there was a sale on Amazon, so they were basically half price.
And one big thing, Mosquitoes can be bad. Mosquitoes and gnats and things like that can be bad certain times of year, especially if you're doing some of this wilderness stuff. You're kayaking, you're going through the woods and whatnot. I do not recommend sprays, because sprays get everywhere. It gets all over your coat. It can get on the people all around you.
And in your luggage, it can leak.
It can leak in the luggage. Get the wipes. They have individual wipes, with DEET, D-E-E-T. So you just, so you can wipe your face, you can wipe your arms and things like that. It doesn't get on the people around you, doesn't spray all over the place. And generally you can get them where it's a package and you just keep, pulling them out like tissues, or better yet, you can get them where they're individually sealed. So this way there's no chance of them leaking. You definitely want to have some sort of insect repellent, but do not, don't bring the sprays. The sprays are just annoying and they might leak. Do the wipes. You can find them on Amazon. You can find them everywhere. But that's a big thing that a lot of people don't realize. I'm like, man, where do all these mosquitoes come from? At certain times of the year, you can have some really heavy mosquitoes and other things like that. Well, get those wipes.
They have a brief season to be active. So
yeah, right.
They need to make the most of it.
Right. And then one of the last tips I want to give you guys too is, if you're like me and you like to take pictures, I happen to have a Fuji camera with interchangeable lenses, but the big lenses are expensive. If you ever price like one of those zoom lenses or something, or maybe you don't have a camera and you're like, I'm going to Alaska. It would be kind of nice to have a nice camera to take pictures, but I don't want to spend $2,500 on a camera rig for just one trip. There are companies like Lens Rentals, lensrentals.com. I use them all the time whenever I need to get a bigger lens for my camera. I rented a lens. I want to say I ended up renting it for like 20 days because we went to, we had a 12-day cruise, but we went to Seattle for a few days before the cruise, and then we were there for a day after the cruise. And so by the time I was going to send the lens back, I was going to have it for like 21 days. I want to say it cost me like $350 to get this really long lens that I kind of wish I'd have known how heavy it was before I ordered it, because it was very heavy.
Well, I'm sure you could have looked at that information.
Yeah, I could have. And so I was able to take some wonderful pictures with this lens. That would have been $4,000 had I purchased it. And I'm not going to purchase a $4,000 lens just to use it every so often, but I'll rent one to use every so often. And they even have entire camera rigs. They have cameras, they have video cameras. So if you're going someplace like Alaska, where you are going to take, the first time I went there, I took over 3,000 photographs. I think I took about 2,500 this time. But if you want to use some nice, cameras, or you'd like to get a longer lens for your camera, check out something like lensrentals.com. Great company, great service. When I used to work in video production, I used them quite a bit, but a great way to get, better equipment, or maybe you don't have any equipment at all, just a way to get equipment without having to spend thousands upon thousands of dollars just for this one trip. So now that, my Fuji X-T3, I love my camera, and I've got a beautiful, 16 to 55 lens on it. I love that lens, but sometimes you just need a little bit of a longer push. So that probably my last tip on Alaska for today. What else did I miss?
I would add one thing. Make sure you have shoes that are very comfortable to walk in and waterproof.
Yes. Waterproof shoes and comfortable hiking shoes. Alaska can have a lot of uneven surfaces. Very true. BB Man said the Tracy Arm Fjord is on your itinerary. It'll be switched to Endicott Arm because of the landslide last year. Yeah, and again, like we talked about earlier, up in Denali National Park, I don't know if they've been able to repair the roads yet, but the Tundra Wilderness Tour used to go 90 miles into Denali National Park, but they had a washout somewhere around mile 45. So you can only go about 44 miles in, but it's still a better tour than just doing the Denali History Tour. So, wow, we've been going, Cruising Karen, is Ketchikan and Sitka walkable? The answer is yes to both. Yeah, just know that in Ketchikan, if you're on a Norwegian Cruise Line Holdings company, such as we were with Oceana, you will dock in Ward Cove, which is about 7 miles away. So you've got to take the bus up to, you got to take the bus over, which is not a big deal when you're on a small ship, but when you're on a big ship like the Norwegian Joy, 4,000 people. It takes a long time to bus people over and then bus people back. And then Sitka, Sitka, let's see, how did we come in on Sitka? Yeah, Sitka's walkable. I don't think you can get to the downtown. Yeah, we were not near the downtown in Sitka. We had to take a shuttle to get into Sitka, if I recall correctly. Where our ship came in, I don't think we could just like walk right into Sitka. I believe we had to take a short shuttle in. So, Diabetic saying trying to find waterproof shoes that are not hiking boots has been tough. You might have to Scotch guard your shoes. So what I like, I wear these shoes called Merrell, Merrell, I think it is. They've got these great shoes that are kind of like they are hiking shoes, but they're not boots. You can get them so that they're low cut and they're not boots. And I love those shoes. I wore them all over Alaska. I wear them every time that we're going someplace that's going to be a lot of walking. Where did we just go? I just took them with me on one of the trips we were just on. Hawaii. Yeah, I took them to Hawaii. They're fabulous. So yeah, and the thing is, they're not completely waterproof. They do have some of that mesh on them. So yeah, Scotch guarding or something like that, spraying a waterproof might help with something like that. But yeah,
bring extra
definitely
socks
gotta,
so if they get wet.
Yeah, bring extra socks. There you go. Okay, folks. Well, that's it for me, man. We've been going for a little over an hour and a half. This has been a great conversation about Alaska. I hope you guys are liking the new format that we've been doing for a while here now, doing topics. So this is a lot of fun. I'm glad we picked Alaska for today. Of course, if you have more questions, just feel free to reach out. where'swaltertravel.com. Again, our services are truly free to you. We book cruises, land tours, luxury trips, expeditions. We do it all. Somebody wants to know where's the next cruise. For us, it will be Philadelphia. We're heading up to Philadelphia in about 2 weeks.
Days?
Well, 18 days is the cruise, but we're going up to Philadelphia
so
3 days early.
Days.
So I think it's like 15 days until we head up to Philadelphia. And then we'll be on the Norwegian Jewel for the first cruise out of Philadelphia in about 20 years. Still don't know where we're cruising out of, but we'll be cruising out of somewhere in Philadelphia. We don't know. They'll just tell us, go to the ship here. So again, folks, if we can help you in any way, just reach out, where'swaltertravel.com. And wherever you are in this amazing world, I hope you guys have an awesome day. Oh, I totally forgot. Man, look at this. I'm wrapping it all up and I totally forgot. Thursday night, Silversea on YouTube. Silversea on YouTube. If you want to learn about Silversea, 8 p.m. Eastern time, Thursday night, Hunter from Silversea will be joining me for a full hour. And yes, we will be talking about the murder mystery cruise. So there you go. So folks, wherever you are in this amazing world, have an awesome day. All right. Happy Sunday, everybody.